Okay, so this is where we're at. We all know where we are, right? The Regenerative Legacy Summit. So my wife is joining in. She's at the other house. Appreciate that she's able to be there. My kids are off in different places. Each of us have teams that are supporting us. My presentation is called, I've entitled it Dirt Rich, Cash Poor, because that is something that a lot of us in the agriculture industry, that is I'm not going to say it's not our reality, that it is our reality. But that's how it is. Sometimes we look on our balance sheet, and that left-hand side of our balance sheet shows some big numbers at the bottom of them. But on the right-hand side, it's like, and not so shiny, especially when we transpose that over to our cash flow. We're like, yeah, we've got all this equity, but dang, you can't eat equity. So what do we do? How do we pay for kids' braces? And how do we how do we get to the point where, we are actually have more cash flow, staying in the business and being channeled in the right direction versus just going out of the business. So my goal for this presentation is to help you discover the path to create a profitable regenerative business that not only enriches the soil, but also builds financial stability for you and for future generations. How does that sound to you guys? How many would like to have that? Just go ahead and put that in the chat. Like, sign me up. And I'm not saying that at the end of this, you're going to have that accomplished, but key in on this, the path to create a profitable regenerative legacy business that not only enriches the soil, but builds financial stability for you now and future generations. So next question. Yeah, thanks. Thanks you guys for chiming in there. Appreciate that. Yeah, sign me up. That's me. What is this worth to you? What would that be worth to you? This is not a hypothetical question. And this is a question, not man, it's priceless. It'd be worth everything. I invite you to take out your journal. Remember that important piece that is our most important tool on the ranch, that journal, and write down a number, whatever comes to mind. What is it? What is that number for you? What would that be worth to know that you are on that path towards getting that goal that you have in mind? Oops. Plug in so everybody got a number? Everybody got a number? So this next presentation is for you. If you're willing to change, you're not stuck in the past. You're not saying, well, this is just my circumstances. This is my lot in life. If you are committed to regeneration, if you're willing to maybe buck the system a little bit and say the conventional system, while it's highly productive, there's some huge flaws in it. We're not here to point those things out today. If you want to be profitable, and if you want to focus on stewardship, then this is for you. On the other hand, if you're not willing to change, if you're not committed to regeneration, if profit doesn't really matter, profit, however you determine that, and if stewardship isn't your thing, then, that's okay. We love you, and that's just fine. We hope you'll still join us, but this is who we're talking to. So when you stay to the end, we have a special offer, just kind of like Kirk did, for those who take action and are willing to invest in themselves and in their future. This is my wife, Selena. We're grateful to be here and to be the host of this Regenerative Legacy Summit. A little bit about our family. So we've been married for 28 years. We got married in 1996. We're third generation ranchers. Both my wife and I come from ranching backgrounds. I've invested in my education, been blessed to work with some great leaders in the industry like Bud Williams. Bud Williams said was one of the top, Bud and Eunice Williams were the top 10 most influential people in agriculture. And just honored that I could work with them firsthand. He's been to our place, and I've been to his classes both with stockmanship and marketing. Studied leadership, really dove in like many of you in recent years on the soil health, studied with the Savory Institute. I was blessed to write a book called Searching for Home, Finding Grace. It's a novel, highly recommend it. Our ranch is certified regenerative with the Savory Institute, and about 2 years ago, we kicked off our journey with Ag Steward, and that's our company. We started doing virtual summits and twice a month webinars. So that's what you're experiencing, what we started a couple of years ago, and we've carried that on. Also the Profitable Steward podcast, and it's an honor to be able to go and speak at other people's events as well, throughout the West and even throughout the United States. So that's a little bit about us. Our ranch is located in northeastern Nevada, kind of the northeast corner. We're closer to Utah and Idaho than we are to Las Vegas and Reno. We have to make that distinction clear. We're not in the desert. This is the high desert. We actually have 4 seasons, and it's a beautiful place to live. We're honored to live here and carry on the legacy that my grandfather started. Our ranch started with sheep, and it passed on to my dad, who built on that, and then now on to me. We're now in 2 geographic locations on either side of the mountain range. So basically two properties. This one over here is contiguous. This is somewhat removed. You have to go around the end of the mountain to get to one. We summer the cattle over here. We winter over here. Our main enterprises right now are custom grazing, sell by marketing, and our heart really lies in the grass finished industry. And so we're working with other branded beef companies to help to build them in a sustainable way, so that when the other model crumbles, we have something else that is a viable model that will be able to take its place, not only providing for families, but most importantly, in providing a good product. Not only providing for families on the land, but providing a good product for families wherever they live. So that's about us. And again, our journey started in 1996. I'm 3 short years after my mom and dad after we got married. My mom and dad came to Selena and me and said, "Hey, we would like to go, and we'd like to go serve missions for our church. And would you be willing, both of you, be willing to take over management of the ranch?" At that point, we had sold the sheep, and now we were 100% cattle, primarily cow-calf. And we were back from college, had a little boy. Our first was just a baby, and we said, "Yes, sign us up. Absolutely. It's what we want. That's our goal, and we'll absolutely do it." And so we did. My mom and dad were off to Mexico, thousands of miles away, and gone for 18 months, and left us in charge of the ranch. At that point, it was about 500,000 acres, over 1,000 head of cattle, multiple employees, most of them twice, sometimes 3 times my age. And I quickly found out that, holy cow, I'm in over my head. And I realized, okay, if we're going to be successful, what I saw were 2 pieces to success. When I worked on the Deseret Ranch in Florida as an 18-year-old, too young to really appreciate that I worked under one of the best managers in the world at the time, Paul Janot. I didn't know enough to ask an educated question, but I looked at, there were people who came out of college that were highly educated, and there were these old seasoned cowboys who worked on the ranch who had been there for years. The new guys had lots of ideas, the old guys had lots of wisdom, and they seemed to a lot of times clash. Like the new ideas would clash against the old ideas. I had a mentor once that told me you can't teach experience. Like, how do you get who was it? Was it Ray Hunt? How do you keep from making mistakes? Experience. How do you get experience? By making mistakes. So certainly both of these are important components, education and experience. And so I realized that there was also another piece, which I've come to term the profitable stewardship, which incorporates, yes, the education and the experience, and some other key pieces that we're going to talk about in this presentation today. Because really, what we don't know absolutely can hurt us Like we can be driving out across what looks like solid ground and pretty soon find out that, wow, there's a lot of soil moisture there and we get stuck. And so what do we do about that? And so I've looked for years for this formula for success, right? I don't know. I like to think in kind of sometimes linearly that way. X plus Y equals Z, except sometimes we don't live in a linear and work with linear systems, like we work with evolving ecological systems, and we are our own system, or as they say within the Savory Institute, holes within holes, WHOLE, holes. And so this was what my formula for success was. It was hard work. And as you can tell, we're kind of praying people around here. We believe in God. We believe in a creator. And so we pray because we believe, well, if he's given us these stewardships, he'll help us to be able to manage those stewardships. And then we add the skills that we have, which include our experience and our knowledge that we've gained. And that should equal success, right? This is the formula for success. Hard work plus prayer plus skills. Maybe we need to add in a little bit of a team to help us and support us along the way, but that should equal skills, right? Well, what I wanted was, when I started out in management, were kind of two things that my desires were for applying this formula. Was I wanted to be able to, what I call now, steward the ranch. It might not have been in my vocabulary back then, but I would call it, I wanted to steward the ranch. I felt passionate, a love, a sincere desire to improve upon what God had given me, make it better, and return and report and say, and hear the words, well done, thou good and faithful servant. That is still my desire. Inside, I wanted to feel fulfilled. I wanted to feel happy. And I wanted to, more of a kind of internal and external desire was, I wanted to have a legacy that generations could benefit from, just like I had benefited from the generations that had gone before me and the hard work and the skills and the education that they had. But quickly I found out that there was something that was blocking my success. And while I was running headlong and saying, yes, absolutely, we want to be ranchers. And while the term regenerative ranching wasn't necessarily coined back at that time, there certainly was, it was probably more sustainable. And stewardship was kind of a word that was used. Holistic was something that I kind of chided at first when I didn't understand it. But I quickly found out, okay, those things that I thought were the formula for success, they'll get you so far and only so far. What is it that's going to either break down this barrier, break down this wall, get you over the wall, or build you greater than that wall so that you can scale it? What are the things that you needed? And this kind of, it wasn't a subtle epiphany, as we might say. It was more something that evolved. But the idea that, hey, there is a different framework that when applied, it will get you more consistent, lasting results with less challenge and frustration. Because the fact of the matter is that what got us here won't get us there. I think it was Einstein that said the significant challenges we face cannot be solved at the same level of thinking we were at when we created them. So we created the challenges, and now we have to adopt a higher level of thinking to be able to get over this chasm, which might be called a challenge, or the wall that we might need to scale over. And so I realized, okay, this is where I want to be. This is where I am now. How do I get from here to there? How do I do that? And one of the reasons that I invited Kirk Duncan on is because he was a large part of my journey. Because what I thought was linear what I thought was getting from here to here having a ranch that was basically given to us to steward, and being able to pass that ranch on to the next generation, I thought, well, that's easy. There's the path. But that path really, if I could draw it here, went from point A around and took a very different trajectory than what I anticipated when I first started out. And along the way, I realized that it's not so much about the journey, it's not so much about the destination, it's about the journey. And it's not so much about the journey as it is about the transformation that happens along the way, right? Because we can get to our destination, and how many people know people who are successful? How many of you know somebody who's successful, right? Who's successful, they've gotten to that point, but they've either left their family behind, they've sacrificed their health, they have forgotten who they were inside, that mission that God's endowed us with. And while from the outside looking in, they are super successful, but yet they're miserable. And I didn't want that for me. And so we adopted, and this profitable steward framework has evolved along the way that couples the hard work, the prayer, the skills, the education, the experience with some of the other things that, again, that Kirk talked about, some of the things that might be not quite as easy to measure, but just as important in that formula for success. And so we call it the profitability framework. So that's the background for what I'm going to share here in the next few minutes. So basically, after 25 years, 25 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in my education, and hundreds of thousands of dollars paid to the SHK. Anybody know what the SHK is? Any guesses? It's the, somebody write it down, put it in the chat, the School of Hard Knocks. Okay. Hundreds of thousands of dollars paid to the School of Hard Knocks. Anybody else have a degree in the School of Hard Knocks there? Go ahead. We should have a, what do they call that? A class reunion or something sometime. I think I've got multiple degrees in that, and probably working on a doctorate right now. School of Hard Knocks. Yeah, it's pretty unforgiving. It's not the easiest way to learn, but yeah, I discovered a lot of these things the hard way. But because you're here today, I want to share with you an easier way. I'm not saying easy way. It's not that there's not shortcuts, but an easier way. And we call this the 3 secrets of stewardship. We'll go through these. Profit first, invest in your education. And number 3, net worth does not equal self-worth. Okay, so here we go. We're going to dive right in. So if, let's see, I can't see the chat right now, but if there are questions or clarifications, Rebecca or Selena, just if you have permission to unmute and interject that so that I can see. But okay, so the 3 secrets within those secrets, and this is kind of, if you imagine a framework, there's going to be other components that hang down off of that. Just kind of like the 2 great commandments, all the commandments hang underneath those 2 great commandments. Might be an analogy, a different way to be able to think about it. So secret number 1, plan for profit, and that includes paying yourself. Statistics show that 38% of divorces are due to financial problems. That's not 38% of people are going to get divorced due to financial problems, but of divorces, 38% are due to financial problems. So another epiphany. Well, why don't we plan for profit first? Would that help us to be able to resolve some of those conflicts that we might have in marriage and within our team? And how could that help? And so we take what the Savory Institute teaches, and we apply that and we say, okay, let's put as our first expense, and I even do it, this is a balance sheet or profit and loss that we share with our clients. And we actually put it even above the income. So it's like the first thing that you see. What is our plan for profit for that year? Why do we do that? Because it is a law, and I can't remember the name of the law. Somebody smart, type it in the chat if you know it. But expenses will rise to meet income, right? We're in a super high, I don't know if it's inflated cattle cycle right now in some commodities, but yet expenses are high. In the last summit, I did a very informal, impromptu survey. And by far the majority of the participants in that survey said that profitability, or lack thereof, was the number one concern that they had in business. Maybe we'll throw that at again and see if it changes this time. But planning for profit, it's kind of throwing it on its head. You know, profit is generally figured up after income and you minus out the expenses. And if there's anything left over, well, great, you're profitable. But this is different. And we're not going to dive into, John Haskell next might talk about it a little bit, and maybe some of the other speakers. How do you actually measure profit? Because it's not just cash in the end of the bank. It's not, to me, again, the old paradigm was like, dang, if I've got paid off my operating loan and I can operate part of the year without dipping into it again, I'm profitable. Well, that doesn't take into account inventory and a lot of other things that go into profit. So step number 2, and this is the most important one to be able to resolve the marital conflicts, is pay yourself first and plan what that wage is going to be. So again, put that very second. Profit first, what your wages are going to be. And I don't know how many times I go through coaching calls with clients and it ends up being a little bit like this picture that AI generated for me. My kids make fun of it. But a little bit of like this, where they're stressed, and that's cause of that stress is, 1, they don't know if they're profitable. 2, they don't know if and when they're going to get paid, because they only get paid based on what's left over. And sometimes there isn't anything left over. And so what are they left with? Sometimes that's eating into equity or whatever the options may be at that point, but they're usually not very good. They're usually not very good options. So that's the why behind doing that. Okay, so we got this. Underneath that first secret, step number 1, put your profit first. Step number 2, figure up your wage on an annual basis, and then you divide that up. 60 divided by 12 is $5,000 a month. Pay ourselves $5,000 a month. I suggest you pay yourself, and to be a viable business, like on an economic analysis, you need to be paying yourself what it would cost to replace yourself. Can you afford to do that always? Maybe not at first, but at least let's charge that opportunity cost against on an economic basis. When we look at your business, is it really viable? So without getting into the nitty gritty, talk about it, decide upon it as a team. This will save this. Got it? Okay. Step number 3 under secret number 1, monitor that plan. So that basically is, you start out with a budget, you input what you actually spent, you figure up your difference, you monitor that plan, ideally on a monthly basis. And I find that a lot of times it's helpful to have outside input on monitoring that plan, somebody like a CFO who can, or somebody within your business who can assume that role of CFO and be more objective. And sometimes even, question, probably, ideally it would be somebody outside your business who would fill that role. Okay, so basically who needs this? Definitely business owners, people who want to own a business. We get asked all the time, how do I get started? If you want to get started off on the right foot. Plan for profit first. Entrepreneurs, it's a key part of that. Most businesses, I would say the majority of businesses that fail because they run out of cash. They run out of cash because they didn't plan for profit. Managers, this should be first and foremost on their mind when they're looking at what their responsibilities are for management. We think, well, it's just a family business. I only have one checking account. It's not really a business. Well, treat it like a business. I mean, really, from the time you start out, at least start managing your finances and tracking them separately. And ideally, 2 separate checking accounts, ideally a different entity for your business. And this is a key principle of stewardship. Like when Christ came, in the parable of Christ that he came on the stewards, he asked for an accounting. He said, what have you done with the 5, 3, and 1 talents that I gave you? And they had to report. And so this is the way to be able to do it. So if anybody wants to screenshot that, that's the little doodle there about what it is, the 3 steps within this first three secrets. Or excuse me, there's too many 3s here. Secret number 1, first 3 steps. Okay, we're going to stop share for just a minute so I can get reground here so I can see everybody again. Okay, thanks you guys for keeping your cameras on. All right, so there we are. That is secret number 1. We've got 2 to go. We're gonna keep rolling, but any questions, any clarifications, anything, anybody get lost? We believe in no stewards left behind here. So we'll go at a pace that is appropriate to make sure. Okay, cool. Again, I'm in presentation mode. It's kind of tough to monitor the chat, so we'll catch up with that at the end. But I will scroll down. Okay. Will we share our slides at a later time? Yep. Yeah, we'll make them available. A lot of the presenters will do so also. Can't guarantee that they'll all will, but okay. So everybody go ahead and type in the chat. Here's your cheat sheet. What are the 3 steps within the first secret? Plan for profit. Plan for profit, pay yourself, monitor your plan. So those are the 3 steps. Secret number 2. I'm not dissing on education. That poor young college graduate who has his head full of knowledge, I love him. We're grateful that he's there. We absolutely want and we need that. Education comes from the Latin word, however you pronounce that, educatio, I'll say it, which means a breeding or a bringing up or a rearing. I've also heard that education means to bring out. And why that's important to me is that we're not, what I don't like about modern education is we're trying to stuff in. Here's this idea, boom, take it in, put it in your head, and you better know the answers when I come to ask them. That's not education. That's force feeding. Education means to bring out the genius that's inside of you. That's what education, true education, leadership education, the education that leaders throughout history have received and have promoted, that is the education that I'm talking about. So again, some of the places that I've learned, that I've gotten my education, Bud and Eunice, these schools, definitely go to the Word. How does what this person's telling me line up with what I hold to be true? Test it against what we know. So within this, the first step within secret number 2 of invest in your education, find a mentor. Man, I wish I would have had a mentor when I first started out. Partway down my journey, I learned from Bud Williams. Bud Williams' ideas were up here. I realized I was down here. I needed somebody to bridge that gap. And I got to know Wally Olson, and I said, hey, Wally, I don't know that I asked him to be my mentor, but I said, hey, can I call you once in a while? And will you help me figure out these marketing principles? He said, yeah, Jared, got to read a book first. Like, that's a good mentor. Bring out what's inside of you. So I read The 1 Minute Manager per Wally Olson's request. And then from there, I've worked with many other mentors. That's an important step. Kirk Duncan, that you heard from, being one of them. I would consider Bud and Eunice to be mentors and even continue to be posthumously. Bud is still a mentor to me. Step number 2 within secret number 2 is manage the information. Like, we live in the information age, but wisdom is waning and lacking. So with all that getting, get wisdom. I think it says somewhere. Garbage in, garbage out. Enough said. We have to say no to some of this constant bombardment of information so that we can clear out and make room for true and correct principles from whatever source they may come. And again, another AI picture kids make fun of, love it. Don't study on it too long, but step number 3 in this second secret is build a network. And because really our network, business owners understand this worldwide, that our network is, and our net worth are equal. As one goes up, the other goes up. And you know what I learned? I'm going to share a secret with you. You can buy your friends. You can rent your friends. You guys are here today participating in a network of awesome people. And in a way, you're renting your friends. You're joining the network from Alan Williams and from Kirk Duncan and from Chris and from all the others who have spoken and will speak. And so that's what I mean. Go to places where you can build your network. So there's the recap. You can screenshot it. Steps 1, 2, and 3. Type those in the chat. Step 1, find a mentor. Step 2, manage information. Step 3, build a network. You might be thinking, well, does this really work for me? I mean, I'm just starting out, or I live in the middle of nowhere, or I'm not really a networky kind of person. I would challenge you to expand your thinking just a little bit and say, yes, these are true principles. Other businesses do them and they're successful. And the more that we incorporate them, they're not all inclusive, but the more that we incorporate them, the more success we will have. Secret number 3, net worth, that is does not equal sign self-worth. Several years ago, I think it was the springtime, and I'd gotten back from doing chores that morning, feeding cattle, whatever we were doing on the ranch, and I stopped by the mailbox as I walked up to the house for lunch. And walked over, opened the mailbox, pulled out the mail, started walking home, sorting, kind of looking through the mail. No checks. There's a letter from the bank. Pulled out the letter from the bank. Kind of a different looking letter. The one word that stood out, foreclosure. How would you react? Here I am, 3rd generation rancher. Is this legacy going to die on my watch? And it was a gut punch. Can I just be a second witness to what my friend Kirk said and what others have say in different ways? Like, when we're so full of emotion and we get a little bit of a trigger, it's going to come out. And I am grateful to this day for Kirk, for other mentors who've been in my life, who've taught me these tools, because when I received that input of information, it triggered a lot of emotions in me of, I'm worthless. Of all the things, all the lies, Myron Golden said, you are the only person who's ever heard every lie that you've told about yourself. And let me tell you, it was in fast forward all those lies that I'd told about myself. Like, boom, just right there. There's the trigger. Here's all the evidence. Take it. But as I walked to the house, I remembered, stop, breathe, be curious. This could be interesting. And this principle, although it didn't have a name right then, I had to implement that and say my net worth, which caused and triggered this response, even though I had still a huge net worth, like, let's face it, we would have sold out and been millionaires. That's a pretty bad scenario, right? And I know other people may be better, maybe worse. It's not a comparison, but to me, that emotion had built up so much that my thinking wasn't straight, my vision wasn't straight. And I had to clear that out and say, look, what's the reality? Net worth does not equal self-worth. How do you get to that point? You use the tools that Kirk taught. You forgive others. You make space so that when you're triggered. So what I'm grateful for those that are listening, that I had capacity. We talk about building resiliency in our landscape. We as stewards need to build resiliency in ourselves as well, because I had capacity. So when that came in, I didn't boil over on my family. And as I remember it, I went in the house and I calmly showed Selena, look what we got in the mail. Like, and it wasn't, understand, it wasn't a surprise, but it wasn't preceded by a phone call. So in a way, it was a surprise. I didn't know what was coming, but I knew we were in the financial state that awarded such a letter. So everybody got that. Enough said about number 3. Net worth does not equal self-worth. So to recap, the 3 principles of profitable stewardship, they are those. Profit first, invest in your education. Net worth does not equal self-worth. And there's a lot more that hangs on each of these, but we've touched on the high points. So let me ask you a question here. Think about, again, the question that we thought about at the beginning and the answer that you wrote down. And if you haven't, it's not too late. What would it be worth to know that you are on the path towards building a profitable business now and a legacy business for generations to come? I've shared with some solutions, some possible solutions, and other speakers will here also, but can I share with you some of the things that have helped me along that way and something that we felt inspired to build out as part of the profitable stewardship journey? And it does require an investment of time and of money. Many of you saw this website page come up at the thank you on the thank you page. So what we've created is the Profitable Steward Workshop. This is an opportunity for you to be able to dive in and take these high-level ideas and apply them to your business with a guide and a coach through these 2 days to help you to get from where you are to where you want to be and create that roadmap that helps you on that path and on the journey. Because here we're here, we want to get here. How do we get over the wall or through that chasm? And why is it even important? That's one of the first questions we ask. Why are you doing this? So this is the page that we'll share here in just a minute. The Profitable Steward Workshop. And we'll go ahead and pull that up, I think. Okay, here we go. I think I've got it up right here. We want to talk through just what this is about. Okay, so here it is. Well, we'll share that at the end. Okay, so the Profitable Steward Workshop. This is taking all the high-level ideas, breaking it down, getting it where, somebody once told me, where the calves can eat it, where it's applicable to you. Here is the outline for the program. We work heavily on the mindset because I believe that, as studies show, success is 95% mindset, 5% skills. Education focuses more on the skills. There's lots of places to learn the other. We're going to balance that out, and we're going to focus more on the mindset intentionally, not leaving behind the skills. We're going to go in depth on the profitability framework that we laid out. Talk about the difference between being a business worker and a business owner, working on and in the business. Having the team that will support your mission that you are creating. Cash flow versus net worth. Again, net worth does not equal self-worth. Cash flow and profitability are super important. In agriculture, we are the most productive, least profitable industry in the United States. Maybe worldwide, I don't know. But in the United States, we're super productive, not very profitable. And I believe that it absolutely has to change. We need to change. We can't continue to rely on subsidies, whether that's subsidized labor, tapping into equity, off-farm jobs, government subsidies, surely, to be able to truly be profitable. We look for and identify clearly what are the weak links within our business. And then this is all focused on within this stewardship framework, this growth through stewardship. How you as a steward impact your business and how it can have an influence upon society at large, and specifically within your circle and sphere of influence within your community. So the details are November 7th and 8th, 10 to 4, both days. Encourage you to show up live. Like, although this is being recorded, the idea, this is a workshop. It is virtual. It will be online. It'll be on Zoom. We'll be doing it more in a classroom style, interactive. People will be going to breakout rooms to work on assignments individually, coming back and collaborating, all with the goal that when you walk away from this, like, oh, that's the path. Oh, there's what I need. And it doesn't matter whether you're starting out or whether you're down the path, the journey will continue. Right? Okay, so that is the Profitable Steward. That is the Profitable Steward workshop. Okay, so my friend Ed Mason from Canada said this about it when he attended it this spring. I just finished attending the Profitable Steward program organized by Jared Sorensen and Ag Steward. Wow, 2 information-packed days designed to help me build a solid foundation for my personal and ranching activities. Jared is one of the best facilitators, presenters I've ever listened to. His holistic and Christian-based approach to being an ag steward and ag stewardship was inspiring and uplifting. If you ever have the opportunity to listen or interact with Jared, don't pass it up. Thanks, Ed. Let's give Ed a round of applause. Like, thank you, Ed. That's true rancher, taking the information, applying it, using it. And so I thought, well, dang, if you do this, this will help you get there. But that's the 7th and 8th. We've got some time in between now and then, and I don't want you to get lost between now and then. Like, we leave a virtual event or an on-site event and we're like, yeah, I got this. And we go home and the cows are out and something's broke down, and it's like you go months and you're like, oh yeah, what about that? What about that Profitable Steward framework and that class that I attended? Dang, I just didn't even see it coming. So we're going to help you so that you maintain the momentum that you gain here. And one of the ways when I looked at, well, how can I do that? I'm like, well, I've got something that works right now. Tap people into the 7-day regenerative challenge. This challenge will help you keep your momentum. And it is 7 recordings meant to be watched consecutively in 7 days. You can take Sunday off if you want to. We did when we did the challenge. But if the world can be created in 7 days, and the 7th day was part of the creation, God rested, but that was important. You'll learn why. You can also create wonderful things in 7 days. So you'll get access to this playlist. The 7 videos, encourage you to watch them. Some of you are going to binge watch them, I know, but watch them just 7 days. You can put them on time and a half. You'll get through them mostly in under 15 minutes. So 15 minutes to forgive, 15 minutes to input good stuff. You've got a recipe for success. So these are on demand. You've got lifetime access because it's just on YouTube. And absolutely, you can share this with your team, the people who aren't here on the summit today. And it keeps you learning, because learning is living. We live to learn, we learn to live. So this is what we're looking at. The Profitable Stewardship Workshop is $500 value, and the 7-day regenerative challenge is a $400 value. With that's cool. You know, $900. Is there anything else that people would need to be able to leave this summit on the path, started down the path, committed to the path? And I thought, well, they need a community to be able to plug into. So let's plug them into the Profitable Steward Mastermind, where you have access to our Facebook group community. You're able to tap into this like-minded community of individuals. And also what we do within this community is we have monthly calls. And on those calls, we work through specific challenges that you might have within your business. So monthly accountability calls, it's the first Monday of the month. We generally do them at 6:30 a.m. Pacific time. Translate that to your time zone. And it's 3-month access to this membership community. So that plus the Profitable Steward program, plus the 7-day regenerative challenge, that's a pretty good deal. I'll sum up what my friend Joe said here from Pleasant View, Texas. He jumped on the call this spring. We opened it up and we said, hey, who has an immediate challenge that they need some help with? He's like, well, I've got a lot of extra grass this year. We're going to be short on income. I don't want to go buy cattle. I've got room for 600 head of stockers, and I'd like to just custom graze them. Don't want to partner on them. Just want to sell my grass. And he attributes it to me. I realized that all I was doing was utilizing my talents, which one of my talents is a connector, connecting people. When somebody says, hey, I've got a problem or an opportunity, I'm automatically think of generally 3 people who could help with that problem or opportunity. That's just the way I'm wired. And so after the call, I texted him a name. Within a week, he had 600 head of stockers on there, creating over $600 per day, all because he showed up for a 60-minute phone call. To me, that's leverage of your time. That's the power of a Facebook. That's the power of an accountability group, of a mastermind. That's the word I'm looking for. So the question is, how will you maintain your momentum? If not this, what? If not now, when? So this is what you're going to get. We charge $100 per month. You got 3 months access to the mastermind group. So total value, $1,200. Will this guarantee success? If you do the work? Yep. We don't do it for you. You still got to get out of bed. You still got to do the work. You got to show up to the class, watch the video, report back on this mastermind group. We set goals for the coming month. We report on our goals for the last month. It's pretty valuable. Simple, but valuable. So if we're able to create a plan for you to be profitable, would it be worth it? If it were to help you and your team be on the same page, would it be worth it? If it were to give you peace of mind, would it be worth it? So basically right now, you have 2 choices. The DIY choice, or the second option, plug into a system and a team that is built out to be able to help you succeed, carry on the momentum that you've gained here in the summit, and be successful now and for long term. So again, walk through what you're getting. What is the cost of inaction? Sometimes that can be pretty expensive. We have to look at it as it's not a cost, this is an investment. I believe education, I shared this with my daughter last night, education is the very best investment that we can make because education and knowledge is eternal. $1,200 is less than the price of a calf, less than a new set of tires on a pickup. And I thought, what is the price that we should charge? We decided to roll in for those who have already registered and those who are who are registered during the event, you will get the bonuses. So basically what you need to do, just type in that. There's 2 different landing pages. Margot, maybe you can put in this one, the events.agsteward.co. Walk through it. Super easy to register. It's $47, plus you get the bonuses. And we'd love to see you on the other side. For the next 15 minutes, it's going to carry into the next presentation, but we'll timestamp where we've got Kirk rewarded fast actors. I'm going to do the same thing. The universe rewards people who take action. I love this book. This book has changed my life. If we had time, I'd ask Tony Malmberg to share his testimonial about the book. This is an ebook. This isn't a PDF thrown together. This is a novel that was edited and that I put together about my regenerative journey. And I would love for you to sign up now to be able to get access to that book. And that's only available for right now. Like the other bonuses are through the end of the program, but this is only available for right now. So what do you need to do?
Sure.
Take the step. Yes.
Oh, yes, let me ask if they've already signed up, like are they getting the bonuses as well?
Yep. We want to reward those who acted on faith before they jumped on here. Yep. So good question. We appreciate that. We're going to get our next speaker queued up here. I'm going to leave this on for just a minute. So basically this is what it is. The other question is, can we come as a family? It's encouraged. I really love it when a husband and wife team come and we're able to work together. Like that's where momentum happens. Adult kids, if you have a hired manager, or we'll just put it as decision makers within the business. So that's who this is for. It is a business. It's a business pass. So another question we have, how much time does this take? Obviously, it's the 2 days. Plan 2 full days. You might even want to go rent an Airbnb and be off-site, so you're not like me looking out the window, which I have my window facing where there's not cattle, so I can't see. But where you can focus for those 2 days. Treat it like the $1,200+ investment that it is. The regenerative challenge, that's at your own pace. Monthly mastermind, that's once a month. So we're all about leveraging your time to be able to get from where you are to where you want to be with less time, effort, and the conflicts that I ran into when I started down my journey. And that's what this whole program is about. So I would love to be able to work with you. The question also is, what level do we need to be at to like qualify here for this? For this class, well, $47 isn't a barrier to entry, right? I would say you need to be committed to making a regenerative business. Like if you just want to come and learn, certainly you can do that, but you're going to get the most value out of it if you either have a business or you're starting a business and you have the focus that it can be a full-time business. That's who the class is for. Either you're already doing it or your vision is that it can be to replace either your income or your spouse's income so that it's full-time. That's really who this is. That's the language we're going to talk. It's going to be business speak, business focused, profit oriented, very much with that goal in mind. So with that, you guys, thank you for your participation. I would love to get from you the top takeaways that you had from this. And we're going to bring up our next speaker right now.